Hello, DPS community. Welcome to the EDUCA DPS podcast, where we inform families and connect communities. My name is Bill Good, Chief of Communications for Denver Public Schools, and your host of the EDUCA podcast in English. Today in the studio, we have Elsa Olguin, President and CEO of the Denver Preschool Program. So here's a little bit about this topic. Since 2006, the Denver Preschool Program has helped families in Denver find and pay for quality preschools. The Denver Preschool Program's vision is that every Denver child has equitable access to a strong foundation to thrive in kindergarten and beyond. DPP, as it's known, has been supporting Denver families with financial assistance for preschool for over 17 years, and this past fall was permanently reauthorized to continue that work by Denver voters. Now that Colorado has a universal preschool program that provides every family with up to 15 hours a week of free preschool, the Denver Preschool Program is working closely with Denver families to participate in both programs, which work in complement with one another. Because preschool is one of the best ways for families to set their children up for a lifetime of success, Elsa is here to give families everything they need to know to find the right preschool for their child. DPS enrollment for the 2023-2024 school year is open through June, and DPS enrollment for the 24-25 school year continues through July. So Elsa, thank you for joining us on the EDUCA podcast. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
Preschool is probably one of the earliest times when children start to bond with other children and adults outside of their own families. Who made an impact on you when you were in preschool?
Yeah, so I was very lucky that I grew up in Mexico, right across the border in the state of Chihuahua, and I grew up with a family of teachers. And I was lucky enough to be one of the first participants in a preschool program in my hometown. And that has helped me tremendously. So I still remember my teacher. Her name is Alma. So I started when I was 3 years old, which really gave me a strong foundation to have the ability to have high quality education, graduate from high school in Mexico, come to the United States, graduate. At 17, I graduated from high school. So I was able to not only come to the United States, learn another language, go on to get a degree in finance and a master's in public administration, even although I was an immigrant. And so I had that opportunity because I was able to have a very strong educational foundation when I was 3 years old, which really helped.
I would give you a fist bump for having a master's in public administration, but I don't want to mess up the Don's shot. So if I move out of screen here, we'd be in trouble. But let's dive into some topics here.
Yes.
So number one, why is preschool such an important experience for young children?
It is very important because it is the foundational piece for both school and life. What we should know is that children that attend preschool are more likely to read by third grade, more likely to graduate from high school, higher likelihood that they are going to attend higher education, which means an opportunity to have a better life. We know this not because it's anecdotal, because we have evaluation. We have evaluation on the Denver Preschool Program. We have been following our cohort of kids, and our first cohort that went through Denver Preschool Program is now in their second year of college. So we can actually track and see where the children are and what is the impact of preschool across the spectrum. But it's not just academic. The most important part is about social emotional development and children to have the ability to fully participate in a classroom, fully participate in life.
So to help more families access these important experiences, Colorado launched the Universal Preschool Program last year. What exactly is the Colorado Universal Preschool Program, and who is eligible to participate?
Yeah, so universal means everybody is able to participate regardless of economic status, regardless of immigration status, regardless of the locality in Colorado. One of the most important things to remember about preschool, which I think some people don't know if they have not had the opportunity to participate before, is that preschool is not free. Free education in Colorado actually doesn't start until kindergarten. And Governor Polis is the one who was able to get us to free full-day kindergarten. But before Governor Polis, kindergarten was only free for half a day. Now we have it for a full day. So that means that if you want your 3 or 4-year-old to attend preschool or even younger, you have to pay. And it is expensive. It is so expensive that the equity part that you read on our statement is about the reality that families that can afford to pay for preschool, this is not an issue. They can send their children to a preschool program, a quality preschool program whenever they can. Whereas for families that cannot afford it, they don't have the ability to send their children. Preschool in Denver is about $15,000 per year. It is not free. It is not free at Denver Public Schools, and it's not free at community programs. Hence, Denver Preschool Program and the state helping pay families to enroll their children in preschool.
Yes, I have a 4-year-old.
You know these very well.
I do, and it was something that really jumped out to me. Having a youngster is the cost
Very
that's
expensive.
associated with it. Yeah, and what a need it is. Not just it's not just a nice to have. It's absolutely vital to a student's success.
That's correct.
So how does the Denver Preschool Program help families access Colorado's Universal Preschool Program?
Yes. So because there are two different programs, we're very lucky in Denver in that the Colorado Preschool Program is going to pay for the first 15 hours per week. And then the Denver Preschool Program supplements the need in order to pay for what families need. What we know in Denver is that 80 to 85% of our families need what we call full or extended day. So 15 hours a day, 3 hours per day is not going to cover what families need. Since we know the majority of them need a full day program, which is usually a 6-hour program when kids attend school, or they need before and after care because they're working. So we come in and supplement what the state is now paying is the 15 hours. What that means for us is that in the past, we only pay for 4-year-olds. This year, in the last few years, we started serving 3-year-olds as well. So more access to preschool is the fact that we have state funding and then we have city funding. This is not across Colorado. The Denver Preschool Program is thanks to the voters of Denver that we access a portion of the Denver sales tax. So we're lucky. We're very lucky in Denver that we have 2 funding sources.
Yeah, and that's just an incredible program because as you stated, one of the main critiques of the Universal Preschool Program was the fact that it was only 15 hours a week. And there's such a need for families to have that before and after care or for a full day program, again, to help it work for families that are working.
Absolutely.
And so what a fantastic service that's offered to be able to plug that gap so that every student can have access to the program that their parents need them to have.
Exactly.
You mentioned that families can choose the type of provider they want. What types of preschool providers are available to Denver residents?
Yeah, so there are 2 big choices that families need to start with. One is they either choose to send their children to a preschool that is part of Denver Public School. So it's the public school down the street or the public school where their other children are attending. So some parents choose the public school is the best choice for me. Others may choose a community provider, and a community provider can include a nonprofit provider, a for-profit provider, a religiously affiliated provider, or a family-based provider. So we have all these options. As long as they are quality, we have all these options available. At DPP, we have over 270 providers that we have pre-qualified as quality providers what families can choose from.
So once a family has selected what works best for them, how do they then go about the enrollment process?
The enrollment process is different depending whether you're going to a public school or you're going to a community provider. With the public schools, there are 2 enrollment processes. One is you enroll so that you can be part of the choice process that happens with DPS, which means you make some choices and say, this is my first choice, second choice, third choice. There is a lottery that happens to do the best possible match for that family, and then you will get selected for that one. The second application is to the state, and the state application is to get the money that you need for the 15 hours and be able to apply for that. For the community providers, you go through both them, DPP, Denver Preschool Program, and the state. The state for the community program providers does that choice approach, that match. So you go through the state application, you select the ones that you want to apply for, and you, at the time that you're applying for the state, they run the lottery, you get your 15 hours. DPP supplements the additional funding, so you also do the 2 applications as well. So it's 2 applications no matter which choice you make to be able to enroll in the program.
And we talked about the 15 hours with the Colorado Universal Preschool Program. So if a family does need that full day or before and after care, which you help supplement, how do they go about getting that assistance?
So for us, if it's a community provider, they apply directly to us, and then we're able to do it. We do it based on a sliding scale. So the higher the need, the higher support, the higher the quality, the more that we provide. For kids that enroll through Denver Public Schools, they don't have to do a separate application. We have an agreement with Denver Public Schools. So once they apply to Denver Public Schools, they are automatically accessing the funding for the Denver Preschool Program.
Awesome.
So both of them, 2 applications, which is great.
So can families speak with the individual preschools that they're interested in prior to making the final decision?
Yes, absolutely. So I not only think it's a good idea, I think this is something that they can do. I want parents to remember that the choice process, the application process, actually starts in January. So you have this whole semester for many families to be able to go and visit one of the classrooms at DPS, if that's what they chose, or for a community provider to go and choose a community provider. At Denver Preschool Program, we actually have a list of criteria that parents could look at and say, so if I go and visit a school, what kind of questions should I ask? What should I be looking for? What does quality look like? What are the different curriculums? What are the things that I should be looking at? And on our website, there is a navigation system. So you can actually go in, enter the information as to, some families choose a preschool that is close to their homes, some that is close to their work. They can enter either address and give them choices and say, these are the schools that have openings. These are the places that you may want to apply, depending on what your criteria is, and they can go and visit them.
That's fantastic. So once a family's done those visits, they're pretty sure they know which preschools they want to consider. How do they enroll in those schools?
So they enroll in the schools through the application process that they do through the state and us. Because the providers have agreed that DPP is going to be the way that the enrollment is going to happen, they have the ability to apply for the financial support. Once that initial choice happens through the state, then for community providers, they will be said, this is what you were selected, this is your choice, then they can apply to that provider. One thing to remember, and I think is important, is that there is limited capacity in these programs. And I already said the application started in January. So for families, it's hard to think that you're choosing for a program in August of this year and you have to start in the January application, but you have to start now because there is limited choices, limited enrollment. The longer you wait, the less choices you're going to have available. So you're navigating who has an opening as you're navigating the payment process, as you're navigating all the systems. So it gets complicated for families, but there is information available online as well as telephone numbers where people can call and be assisted through the navigation of the application.
And if for the websites that the families need to visit to fill these applications out, where should they go?
So for the state is upk.colorado.gov. And if they're going to apply to a community program, they will be applying through dpp.org. So they have 2 choices, and then on both choices, the application, one is for the matching system and the other one is for the financial education. So 2 applications, no matter which choice they take.
All right, so we've picked our preschool. We've submitted the application.
Yes.
What happens next?
The next thing is you're going to get a letter indicating that you got matched with either a school or a community provider, depending on which system you had. It is very important for people to remember that they have to accept what choice they were given. If they don't like the choice that they were given, they can start the process all over again. We have been very lucky, despite the fact that the state is only a year-old program, and the fact that we have there, the majority of the people got their first choice. Like 92% of the families got their first choice. So we know that for most of the families, it's like, great, I got the choice that I wanted. And of course, the earlier, the better. So start applying right away.
All right, so before we go, is there anything you want to let our families know? Is there anything else that I haven't asked that you wanted to address?
You know, I think for a lot of families, the two things that I want to emphasize. One, just a reminder that children are born ready to learn. It is our responsibility to figure out how do we help them make the best education choices. It is very important that we know that children that attend preschool have an advantage in life. And when we can give our child an advantage, why not? And now that we have the financial choices, we have the ability to do it. The second thing to remember, because I think it's very important, is that 80% of the brain develops before age 5. So if you're thinking nothing is happening in that young child, a lot is happening. So when that child is playing, where you're reading to that child, that brain is developing, and that you as a parent are the most important teacher in that child's life. We are the next step, but you're the most important step. So read to the child, sing to that child, talk to that child, engage with that child, because it is developing the brain, and you are the most important one.
That's fantastic. So this concludes our EDUCA DPS podcast for today. I want to thank Elsa for joining us, for providing this incredibly important information. Remember, families can register for preschool directly at upk.colorado.gov. Once again, upk.colorado.gov, or visit dpp.org for help finding the right preschool for your child. We'd like to ask our audience to please share this episode of the EDUCA podcast with relatives, friends, or anybody in the DPS community, or anybody who needs help enrolling their student in preschool. For this and more DPS Multimedia Productions and content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Denver Public Schools Plus. We're also on the any main podcasting platform. Just look for the Denver Public Schools podcast. Big thank you to the Communications Department and our Superintendent of Denver Public Schools, Dr. Alex Marrero, for their support of EDUCA and all of our multimedia productions. And please remember to tell your children more often, I believe in you,
and I know you can do it.
Until next time.